Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm glad that you're watching. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you about 9 different reasons why your Schengen visa could be denied, and I'm also going to give you some workarounds to prevent you from being denied, or if you have been denied, how to rectify this situation. So again, if you haven't subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button at the bottom there, and if you have subscribed, remember to hit the notification bell, so every time I shoot a new video, you'll be the first person to know. So why is it important that you try as much as is in your power to get your visa approved at the first instance? The main reason is because anytime you make a visa application for any embassy, whether it's a Schengen territory, whether it's an American visa application, UK, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anytime you make that visa application and your application is refused or denied, it permanently remains in your records that you are denied a visa. And for example, in the Schengen visa application, for example, they'll ask you, have you ever been denied a Schengen visa before? And even with the other embassies, UK embassy, US embassy visa applications, they will ask you, have you ever been denied a visa before? So that's why it's really important that from the very get-go, we try as much as possible to have those visa applications. I'm just trying to adjust my camera. We try as much as is in our power to have those visa applications approved at the first instance. So the number one reason why your Schengen visa application could be denied is if you present fake documents or forged documents or any counterfeit travel documents. The moment you do that, you could be denied a visa and even be permanently banned from entering any of the Schengen visa territories. So how do you work around this? It's quite simple. Just be truthful and be honest. Do not fake any documents. If you do not have a document, that's where your cover letter comes in. Simply explain why you do not have that particular document that the respective Schengen country is asking for. Reason number 2 that your Schengen visa application could be denied is whereby the justification for the purpose and your conditions of intended stay are not provided. So basically this means that you have not given clear documented evidence of why you want to visit the your specific Schengen territory destination, and also details of where you will be staying and how you will fund your stay. So that's basically what they call justification for the purpose and conditions of the intended stay. So how do you work around this? There are very different ways you can work around this. So number 1 is to submit all the relevant verifiable documentation from your sponsor if your trip is sponsored. So for example, if you have like your sister or your brother, your aunt, your fiance, your uncle, your husband, brother, whoever, your friend has invited you to visit them in the Schengen territory country, that could be like, I don't know, France, Switzerland, wherever, or let's say you're going for a conference and you have been invited. So it's important that you bring verifiable documents that prove your relationship with the sponsor. So number 1, you can bring a letter from your sponsor clearly stating what part of your trip expense they'll be taking care of. So is it food? Is it accommodation? Is it your transport? Is it your round trip air ticket? Is it everything? Make sure the letter from the sponsor clearly states that. Number 2, if your sponsor is an individual, so let's say it's your aunt, your sister, your brother, your husband, your wife, whoever, include your sponsor's bank statement for the last 3 months, okay? And it must indicate their income, whether they're employed. It must indicate if it's their salary coming in, or if they run a business, it should show their business income. If your sponsor is an individual, also you need to include a copy of their Schengen country passport biodata page. So for example, if your person who's inviting you is a Swiss citizen, they will attach their Swiss passport copy of their Swiss passport biodata page. If let's say the person who's sponsoring your trip is a Kenyan, but they are legally resident in Switzerland, they could also attach their legal residence permit, a copy of their legal residence permit, clearly showing their biodata page. Again, something else you might want to include is your sponsor utility bill. Yeah, just a copy of their utility bill. So again, these are just to validate the legal status of the one who's inviting you. Another workaround to prove justification for your purpose and condition of stay in the intended country is to submit documents that ascertain your purpose of visit. Again, if you say you're traveling for a conference, you must have your conference registration documents. If, let's say, you're traveling on vacation, attach your itinerary. And something else that is very important to ascertain your purpose of visit is your cover letter. So when you look at the Schengen visa application, it's not a very detailed document. Like, there's not too much space to write too much, and that's where your cover letter comes in. So take advantage of your cover letter and include in your letter your purpose of travel to that Schengen destination, your proposed itinerary, your economic circumstances. So you can say, for example, I work as a developer with Google Africa, and I'm going to be funding my travels, or I run a software development company and I will use my savings and business income to fund my trip. You also want to include your past travel history. You can mention, I have traveled to 102 countries so far and I have never stayed on my visa. Again, you want to mention and give the visa officer who's handling your case the surety that you've never overstayed your visa and you have an intention to come back home. So just include this in your cover letter as well. Okay, just make your letter very simple and crisp, but let it have all this information. If you're employed, make sure to include a letter from your employer, just clearly stating that you're going to be on leave and you're their employee, where is your salary, your position, and that you will be returning back to your job when your trip ends. Okay, another third reason to prove or to just justify your conditions of stay is you substantiate you use documentary evidence to substantiate any family relationships you may have with your sponsor. So let's say, for example, my husband has invited me, or my sister, or my brother, or my mom, my dad. It's important in my visa application to include documentary evidence of our family relationship. So for example, if it's my brother or my sister, I could include both of our birth certificates, which should have at least one of our parents being the same. If it's your spouse inviting you, include your marriage certificate. And if it's like an adopted child who's inviting you, or you are the adopted child of the parent who's invited you, include the relevant adoption certificates. If your trip is self-sponsored, you must have your hotel bookings with you as well, okay? And then number 4 workaround for the justification is to align your requested duration of stay with your leave entitlements. Okay, so for example, let's say you have you've included in your visa application that you're going to Germany for a week, let's say between January 1st and January 7th. So you must make sure that you have included an employer recommendation letter that clearly states that Ivam Tali is going to be on vacation and her leave has been approved from the 1st of January to the 7th of January 2020. Okay, so make sure that you align your requested duration of stay with your leave entitlements. And then the 5th workaround is to explain reasons for not having used any previous visas that were granted on invitation of the same host. Okay, so basically this is whereby let's say last year or at the beginning of this year I applied for a Schengen visa, right? And when I applied for a Schengen visa, I said my sister was inviting me to visit her in Germany, and I went to the German embassy in Kenya, and I submitted my visa application and my visa was approved. Okay, but for whatever reason, I never traveled. So come December this year, my sister invites me again. Hey Eva, would you come and visit us for Christmas? And so I submit another visa application with my sister as a sponsor to the German embassy. So obviously, I had a visa that was approved under the same sponsor that I'm asking for a visa right now, but I never traveled on that visa. So it's important for me to explain why I did not travel. So the best place that you can do this is to include in your cover letter that, hey, I was granted a visa in, I don't know, 2019, and my sister was the one who was sponsoring me. But for reason A, B, and C, I was unable to travel. However, this time, I don't know, I have everything in order, blah, 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 explain why. And the same sister is sponsoring me on this trip, okay? So make sure that you explain why you are unable to travel under the similar sponsorship, okay? And then something else is that you want to make sure that your flight and hotel reservations for the visa application are valid throughout, okay? So for example, one of the requirements when you're submitting your Schengen visa application for whichever country, any of the 24 Schengen visa territory countries, they will ask you for a round trip air ticket. And in fact, most embassies even tell you that do not buy your round trip ticket or do not pay for it until you're sure that you have your visa stamped on your passport. So most people would resort to just going and buying a ticket online and then canceling it later, or you know, I have like an entire blog post on different ways that you can get a return air ticket for your, what they call a dummy ticket for your visa application without actually paying for it. And I'll probably shoot the video later, but I'm going to leave a link at the bottom to that article. So basically, if you have this round trip ticket and for some reason, let's say most visa applications, apart from I think the French embassy and probably the German embassy, takes anything from 1 week to 3 weeks. So what you want to make sure is that the air ticket you submit for your visa application is valid throughout that visa processing period, because failure to do that, your visa could be denied on the fact that by the time your case was being analyzed, either your hotel or reservation or your flight reservation had expired. So the best workaround for that is to make sure that throughout the visa application process, your hotel, your hotel and flight booking are still valid, okay? Something else that you want to look at is, in terms of hotel booking, I personally use booking.com, and once in a while I use airbnb.com. And the main reason is because booking.com has tons of hotels, like there's tons of hotels that not only you can compare one against the other, but so many of them allow you to book without having to pay. And those that ask you to pay have free cancellation options. So that means that in the unlikely event that your visa is not approved, you could simply cancel without incurring any charges. And also in the event that your visa is approved and you just feel like, I don't want to be in this hotel, you know, you can upgrade or downgrade depending on your circumstances. So that's my advice. Just go to booking.com. Again, I'll leave a link at the bottom, or Airbnb, and make your reservation, and just keep checking that through the visa processing period it doesn't expire. Number three reason why your Schengen visa application could be denied is when you have not provided proof of sufficient financial capability. So basically, one of the requirements to be granted a visa is to prove to the visa officer that you have intention of coming back to your home country. And usually there's three reasons that make people want to come back. Either their economic situation is good enough, so they have no business or justification to stay in their host country, or when they have social ties back home that make them want to come back, or family ties making them want to come back. So usually those are the three main reasons. So if you're unable to prove your economic circumstances or your economic ties would force you to come back, then it's very easy for your visa to be denied. So basically, you're supposed to prove to the visa officer that you have sufficient funds to pay for your travel to the host country, take care of your subsistence while you're there, and when you come back, you have sufficient means of continuing with your life in your home country. So the main workaround with this is, number one, make sure you submit 3 months of your make sure you submit your recent 3 months pay slips. Okay, if you're employed, make sure you submit a certified personal bank statement for the last 3 months, clearly showing how your money has been coming in, if it's your salary, or if you're own a business, how your income has been coming in. If your trip is sponsored, make sure you include a letter from your sponsor clearly outlining what portions of your trip expense they are paying for. And if you're self-employed, you could include like your business PIN certificate, your business registration documents, your sales, a screenshot of your sales, just to show that your business is actually in operation. And you can actually also include your recent 3 months business bank statement. Number 4 reason why your visa could be denied is when, so the most Schengen visa, tourist Schengen visa applications have a policy that within any 180-day period, that's within a period of 6 months, you cannot stay for more than 90 days in the Schengen territory. So if you're on a tourist visa, you are only allowed to stay a cumulative of 90 days in any 6-month period, and 180 days in any 1 year period. So let's say I applied for, let's say between January 2019 and let's say between January 2019 and April 2019, I have been in any of the Schengen territory countries, let's say in France, Germany, and Switzerland, for a total of 90 days, yeah? And then come May 2019, I want to apply for a Schengen visa to visit Sweden. So as you may notice, between January and June 2019 is 180 days. However, I have already been in the Schengen territory for a period of 90 days between January and April, which fall within the 180-day period. So because of the fact that being granted a visa would exceed the maximum period of time of 90 days within this cumulative 6-month period, my visa could be denied on that basis. Or let's take another scenario. Let's say between January 2019 and April 2019, I have been in the Schengen territory for, let's say, 100 days. So I have already flouted the 90-day rule for a cumulative period of 6 months. So on that basis alone, my visa could be denied. So the main workaround is, number one, if let's say you've already been in the Schengen territory for 90 days within the 180-day period, just wait for the 180 days to lapse, and then you can go back and apply for a new Schengen visa. So let's say if between January and June have already been in the Schengen territory for like 90 days, so I could apply for my visa. Instead of applying for it in June, I could apply for it in September, for example. Another reason is, if ever you're granted a visa, do not ever attempt to break that 90-day period of stay in a cumulative 180-day period, because you could not only make your visa be denied, but also you could be banned completely from ever visiting the Schengen territory for 10 years. I don't know how long they do it. Number 5 reason why your Schengen visa application could be denied is when an alert has been entered in the Schengen information system for purpose of refusing entry. So the Schengen territory countries have what they call SIS, Schengen Information System, whereby any suspicious people their names are entered in this database. So for example, let's say if I'm a suspected drug dealer or child trafficker, or I have criminal offenses that have been lodged against me, my name could be entered there. And as long as there's a negative entry on the Schengen Information System or on the SIS, for me to be denied entry, there's no way I could be issued with a visa. So unfortunately, for as long as my name remains as a negative entry in the SIS, there's no way I could be given a visa. So the main work around this, usually I say prevention is better than cure. So number one, don't engage in this kind of activities that increase chances of your name or you finding your name being negatively entered in the SIS. And in the unfortunate event that you find your name there, just work with the relevant authorities to find out why your name was there in the first place and how best you can have it lifted off. Because for as long as you have a negative entry against your name on the SIS, there's really nothing that the consular officer can do. Okay. Number 6 reason why your Schengen visa application could be denied is almost similar to number 5, but this is whereby one or more of the states, the Schengen visa states or territories, consider you to be a threat to public policy, internal security, public health, or the international relations of one or more of the Schengen states. So if the moment you're considered to be a threat to either public policy, internal security, public health, or international relations, then your name is entered into another database that is called AZR, or Central Register of Foreigners. So the moment your name is negatively entered on the AZR, again, you just cannot get a visa. So the main reasons why people get their names entered on the AZR is number one, if you submit a fake document or a forged document or a counterfeit travel document, then your name could be entered there and you're just flagged. It doesn't matter which Schengen territory, country you go to, it will always raise a flag that you submitted a fake document. Another reason why you could find your name negatively entered is when you have attempted to lie or be dishonest in your visa application, or you just have a negative entry, like for whatever reason. There could be tons of reasons. So unfortunately, like having a negative entry on the SIS, as long as your name has a negative entry on the AZR, it's almost impossible to be granted a Schengen visa. So the main workaround, number one, do not attempt to forge any documents and submit them in your application. You're just going to be flagged and it will ruin for you any other Schengen visa application. Number two, just be truthful and straightforward. If you do not have a required document, or for whatever reason, just explain your situation in the cover letter, or if you get a chance to speak to a visa officer, explain your situation. And then number three, the next obvious workaround, just make sure that if you already have your name listed, speak to the respective authorities and find legal ways to have your name just lifted off the register. Number 7 reason why your Schengen visa application could be denied is not providing proof of having an adequate and valid travel medical insurance. So one of the mandatory requirements when you're submitting your Schengen visa application is to have valid international medical travel insurance. Okay, so failure to submit this, there's no way you're going to be granted a visa. And the main workaround is just to make sure you purchase and submit with your application an international travel insurance, and this you can buy online. You can also buy in your respective country, and again, I'm going to leave a link at the bottom for World Nomads, which I use and I've never had issues with them. And make sure you attach your insurance certificate, which must clearly outline proof of coverage for a minimum of 30,000 euros, which is about 50,000 USD, to cover expenses for your personal accident, urgent medical treatment, urgent admission in a hospital, or any urgent repatriation you may need on medical grounds. So minimum requirement, it must have at least 30,000 euros, which is equivalent to, I think, 50,000 US dollars. And it must be able to cover you in all Schengen member states, okay? And again, it must cover expenses for your personal accident, urgent medical treatment, admission in a hospital, or repatriation if there's need for that. So make sure your medical certificate has all this information, your full names and your passport number, okay? Failure to submit this and your visa could just be denied. Number 8 reason your Schengen visa application could be denied is when the information you have submitted regarding the justification for your purpose visit this country and your conditions of stay are not reliable. Okay, so you said I'm going to visit Germany for a conference and this is where I'm going to stay, but the information you have given is not reliable. So this is basically where you're contradicting yourself. So for example, you said I'm going for a conference for 3 days between January 1 and January 3, but your accommodation at a hotel is between January 4 and January 6, for example. I know I'm exaggerating, but my point is that you may be visiting France for that particular conference and it's 3 days and your employer is paying for it. But you have decided to combine your business trip with some little leisure for like maybe 5 extra days. So it's important in your cover letter to just clearly mention that I am going for a conference, a 3-day conference in Paris, and following the end of the conference, I'm gonna stay around for 5 days to tour around the area, and then I'll return back to my home country. So instead of just giving conflicting information or incomplete information, just explain your situation to the visa officer and make sure that, let's say if you're employed, your employment letter clearly states Eva is attending a conference in Paris for 3 days, and thereafter she'll be using her 5 days annual leave to tour France, and then she'll return back to the country. So just make sure that all the documents you submit do not contradict each other and they complement each other and they're accurate and complete, okay? So again, number 9 and final reason why your visa application could be denied is when your intention to leave your Schengen territory country of destination could not be ascertained. So there's one thing about visa application. So any moment you submit your visa application, you have basically, and this is a presumption that you have basically just established immigration intent. And this presumption is held until that point when you can ascertain and assure the visa officer that you actually intend to leave their country the moment your visa expires or your purpose of visit is finished. So the onus therefore remains with you to make sure that all the documents that you provide and any other information you provide is sufficient to build a case for your non-immigrant intention, okay? So make sure that all the documents you provide, every statement that you make builds a case for you. So for example, make sure that at least you have the basic social ties that you need, the basic economic ties that you need, the basic social ties, professional ties, everything else that you might need to build a case for you. So the main workarounds for this, number 1, make sure you submit documented evidence for any family ties you have in your country. So for example, if you're married, attach a copy of birth certificate. If you have kids, attach a copy of their birth certificate. If you have adopted children, you can attach copies of their legal adoption papers. And then number 2, make sure you submit documented evidence for any professional ties you might have in your country. So if you have a job, you can include your employer's cover letter, a letter from your employer introducing you. I've talked about it again at the very beginning. Make sure that you have like a pay slip, copies of a pay slip for the last 3 months, your bank's statements clearly showing how money has been coming in. Number 3, make sure you submit documented evidence of any economic ties you have in your country. So do you own a house? Do you have an apartment? Do you have some piece of land? Do you own a car? Make sure you can attach copies of your ownership certificate. So it could be a land title deed, it could be a leasehold certificate for your apartment, it could be your car logbook, whatever it is. Make sure you include all this information, and then submit. Make sure that your letter of employment clearly states that Eva works for us, this is her position, this is her salary, and we have given her, I don't know, 10 days annual leave where she intends to visit France or Paris or Germany or wherever, and you intend to come back to your home country once your trip is finished. And then number 5, just do not overstay on your Schengen visa. If you're given like 3 days, 3 months, do not overstay. Do not overstay the 90-day rule that I mentioned above. And then clearly indicate in your current visa application, clearly indicate in your visa application, if let's say you already hold a visa from a Schengen territory and there's been some changes in your circumstances, make sure that you indicate all that. That's it for today in terms of why your visa application could be denied. Let me know if you like this video by hitting the like button, and again, if you have any further questions, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And again, as usual, this is not a comprehensive list. There's tons of other reasons why your Schengen visa application could be denied, but this is just like example of some of the reasons. And let me know what your experience has been. How did you go about it? And as usual, I hope to see you in the next video. So remember to subscribe so that you do not miss to be notified. Hit the notification bell to subscribe. There will be like a picture of me somewhere there that will appear on the right side of your screen. Hit on that picture and it will lead you to the subscription page. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye bye.